It's the Score North Twin Show.
What's our magic number right now?
We're down.
Yesterday was about as good as you can do. You win your game, and then Cleveland loses both of their games to the Dodgers. 29 games.
Under 30 to go.
So you got Cleveland next week, and then the week after again, right? So you might actually wind up clinching this thing in Cleveland in a couple weeks if they just lose all their games between now and then.
They're trying.
Keep losing double headers.
They're doing their damnedest to help.
So if let's just say they win every game against Cleveland, that's 12. Is there 6 games left, right?
Let's see.
How many games left against Cleveland, or 7?
6, right? I think it's 6.
I think it's 6.
That's 12. That's 12 off the magic number.
Potentially, yes, shave off 12 immediately right there. That would obviously put it at 17. Yeah, this is good.
And then if you sweep the Rangers 3 more here, that would get you down to 14. And then, so you're looking at probably 2 weeks from now. Quite frankly, the Twins are going to clinch.
Did you say sweep the Rangers? Ooh, you're going for it.
The Rangers are not playing well. It's funny because they actually have the best run differential still for sure in the American League. They're second in all of baseball in run differential, but they've lost 7 straight games. The Mariners and the Astros are both a game behind the Rangers.
Yep.
And according to ESPN.com's playoff percentages, the Mariners and Astros both have better playoff odds than the Rangers do right now.
Which means that the Rangers could be coming here for the playoffs.
Yeah. So right now it'd be the Astros, according to just the percentage. So they're tied with the Mariners, but the Mariners are 0.001 percentage points over. So you'd be hosting the Astros for the second time in a handful of years in a playoff series. How would you feel about that?
I feel pretty good about them beating the Astros. I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, I would. I feel pretty good about that one.
I don't like their odds against the Astros. I don't like that. If the thing about Texas is, they're damn good. Their starting pitching is, solid. They went out and got Jordan Montgomery from St. Louis. They got Scherzer from the Mets, but that bullpen looks dicey.
There's not that many surefire teams in the American League. Give me the Braves in the National League, obviously.
Yeah.
But almost any team you would go against, look at the Orioles, for instance. It's the Orioles. Are they really? It's a lot of inexperience. It's, they haven't really done this as an organization in 25 years. So I think almost any team you're going against, you could find some sort of flaw to pick at in the American League.
I think if I was to rank the realistic potential first-round opponents for the Twins, the Astros would be the team I'd least like to play.
Really?
I take Texas right now with that bullpen. Seattle's gotten hot, but I don't totally trust them to what you're talking about, Phil.
Tampa?
And Toronto. Yeah, Tampa also hot and cold. They got off to that great start, but they've been no great shakes.
Although Tampa, there's almost no way.
Yeah.
There's almost
Seattle,
mathematically
Texas,
it's going to be tough.
Houston,
the Jays.
Right?
And the Red Sox.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, here's just a snapshot of because the Twins are going to be locked into that 3 seed. So they're going to play the 6 seed. And right now there's 4 options realistically. Tampa would have to come down 6 games. So Seattle, Houston, Toronto, and then the Red Sox. The Yankees are 7. They're 10 back of that spot right there. So that's not happening.
They're absolutely cooked. Yeah, I think Houston's the team I'd least like to play. From that group.
So, we're a couple things here. We do have some controversy, Immaculate Grid controversy we're going to get to here, sort of behind the scenes of the show that we're going to bring, to you guys, the audience, and you can help us judge who's in the right or the wrong. And we have some feedback Friday questions and comments and concerns. Hit us up always. YouTube comment sections are a great place, and the feedback tab in the Score North app. And we try to turn these Friday Score North Twin shows into responding to you guys. But if you are looking to get to the ballpark, there are tickets still available for the homestand here. And you can find them at twins.com/tickets, twins.com/tickets. If you want to see, maybe you can plan ahead here and see when are they going to have the championship celebration. Maybe look ahead into mid-September and see if you can time it up. Go get some tickets, twins.com/tickets.
Max Scherzer on Saturday night.
That'd be a fun game to go to.
That's going to be, I'm debating that one.
Bring your bleep button.
Oh, I love that. I love that guy.
He's an old school salty SOB.
Him and Rich Hill. When Rich Hill was pitching for the Twins with no fans in the pandemic season, you could hear and every other swear word.
He'd swear and grunt. He and Sonny Gray loved to grunt.
Yeah. Maeda a little bit too.
We should do a ranking of the best grunters. Grunting pitchers of all time.
Yeah. Rich Hill's way up there.
Yeah. Also, a shout out to our friends at Fratelloni's. Fratelloni's is one of the largest Weber dealers in the state, and they're here to help you kick off tailgating season. So, football tailgating season. Got the Gophers in less than a week. Oh my gosh! Look, is that you, Declan?
That is me. I got the shrimp. I had the shrimps this week. I had the shrimpies on the grill. I had the kebabs on the grill. Of course, on my Weber. Okay. I wasn't messing around this week. Grilling is happening year round in the Goff house. Doesn't matter if it's summer or winter. My Weber grill is loaded and locked every single year.
Wow, the food porn was a welcome addition here to the B-roll collection. So yeah, Fratelloni's is one of the largest Weber dealers in the state. If you want to get a brand new Weber grill, you can go to scorenorth.com and enter keyword Weber to find out more, or stop into one of the 20 plus metro locations of Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden. Let's get to the feedback here, gentlemen. Dan Stein says, Falvey ought to thank his friends back in Cleveland for saving his ass from getting fired for missing the playoffs again. What do you, let's in an alternate universe where if Cleveland wasn't such a dumpster fire and the whole division, right? It's not just Cleveland, it's the whole division.
Yes.
If there was another formidable team, because the Twins right now, compared to some of the other division, even some of the wild card teams, the Twins are they would not be a wild card team right now.
Correct.
They'd be kind of buried in those standings. What do you think the conversation would be like internally and externally if the Twins were sitting here out of playoff position again, if they weren't playing in such a bad division?
I don't think Falvey would be in trouble. I think Baldelli would be. I don't think that they've invested, the poll ads being, they have invested so much money and time in the vision that Derek presented. I think it would take a few more years. But to the point of the division itself, I pray to God that this division is at least respectable next season. Don't you? This to me is not. This division's just a joke. It's awful. I want one or two teams, ideally two, and I thought it'd be the White Sox by now. And they are. You talk about dumpster fire, but I want one or two teams to be good, to really compete, because this is like the Cleveland thing they dumped. So yeah, it's a good point. I mean, there was definitely pressure taken off by the fact that the Guardians traded their ace Aaron Savali at the deadline and basically said, we're done. And the players are like, okay, cool. We're done too.
On the division front, I think this is actually good news long-term for the state of realignment in baseball, because now it's not going to be the Yankees, but let's say it was the Yankees as the 6th seed. And I know how Twins fans feel about the Yankees, but it'd be a pretty brutal thing that one of these wildcard teams probably has a good amount of potential to have a better record than the Twins when the 6th seed plays the 3 seed. I know they've talked about realignment and also talked about expansion in baseball. I think an episode like this, where it's probably going to be 85, 86 wins. I saw a stat. I think the Twins have to play 10 games above 500 between now and the end of the season to get to 90 wins, which is probably out of reach. So it's going to be an 85 to 88 win team that wins this Central Division. This division is so bad. I do wonder if realignment is the topic at least gets sparked a little bit more.
When you said, you mean, because realignment to me is change the teams in the divisions, or are you saying change the playoff format so that you can't get in if you are the 9th best team, but you play in a crappy division?
More of the former. I think you'll just have 2 divisions, and then it would eliminate a possibility where there's the 3rd division that has the 86 win team that is lesser than the wild card team.
I kind of like the old, I don't know, as a kid, we just had the East and the West, But the Twins in 87, despite having, what was there, 7 or 8 teams, 7 teams or whatever in the West, and they won with 85 wins or something, and they won the division?
The West was down that year.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I wouldn't oppose that. Okay, here's another interesting one. Roger Dawson says, if the Twins extend to 0-20, If they get in and they get swept twice, it'd be home too, by the way. You'd lose 2 home playoff games.
Fully capable.
He says Joe Madden and full control. He would give the keys to the organization to Joe Madden if they got swept out again.
So that
Joe
was
Madden, man. How old
so
is he now?
that would have been super popular 6 years ago. Now I don't think so. And plus, these guys, it's very clear, full control. As long as Falvey's here, full control ain't happening. Like
I don't know that he needs full. You don't. That's not a thing in baseball.
No,
He's a manager.
But I'm just saying, to talk about full control in baseball with how baseball is run now is an impossibility, right?
Yeah.
Because like we know that Rocco basically gets told, hey, here's your plan. And he's like, okay, that's my plan. So to think that the Twins would then say, oh yeah, Joe Madden. Plus, as far as Joe goes, the thing with the Angels flamed out pretty badly and pretty quickly. I don't think that I'm not saying he won't get a job again. I think he probably will if he wants one. But I also don't think that Joe Madden carries near the clout that he did 5 to 6 years back. So I don't know that he would be the guy.
Well, a couple things on this, because I actually, this is an interesting conversation. He is going to be 70 years old in February. I do wonder, when he was in his mid 50s with the Rays, and even like when the Cubs won the World Series, that was, coming up on 8 years ago, if we're talking getting into 2024. So I do wonder, when you put a 70-year-old inside a room with a bunch of like 23-year-olds, 25-year-olds, you got to be a little careful with that. But he's kept himself young. He's a young spirit. And I actually think the Angels thing should just be written completely off to the side. The Angels' problems go so far and beyond Joe Madden, organizationally, culturally, right? Joe Madden was there for 2.5 years. The Angels have had Mike Trout for a decade. They've had Shohei for like 6 years, right? So I almost just take the Angels stint and put it off to the side. The work that Joe Madden did as a manager in Tampa and with the Cubs, at the time, especially with the Cubs and Theo Epstein and the Rays, analytically driven front offices that are trying to connect to young players. And he was a great liaison between, analytical front office and young baseball players. So I would consider, do I think Joe Madden right now today is a better manager of a clubhouse than Rocco Baldelli? Yes. Yes, I do.
It's interesting because typically it doesn't happen in all sports, but you always try to hire like the opposite thing of what you have. So like even look at Texas right now. Like the Rangers have old grizzled Bruce Bochy managing the Texas Rangers right after Jeff Bannister flamed out. And I think Chris Woodward was the other manager there beforehand from like 2019 to 2022. So they went back to old school Bruce Bochy. And the White Sox, right, at the Tony La Russa thing, I know he's now back as a consultant, which is just hilarious, but they go to Tony La Russa and it sparks them to, they won the Central, I believe, in 2021. I don't see the poll ads going rogue of the let's get back the old grizzled baseball manager, but it would be an interesting route of what do they want? Do they want another puppet master like Rocco to a degree? Why is that? And what would that front office want to hire that isn't Rocco Baldelli?
Falvey does. Like as long as Derek is here, you're not going to. They'll never go back to a guy like Paul Molitor. They did him a favor now, but like he clearly because he's a baseball savant. I mean, Paul's a baseball genius, and they clearly did not like the fact that he basically said, "This is what we're going to do," and they're like, "No, we got ideas too." If you were really going to make, like, just for fun here, if you were going to make an impact attempt, right, like full control, it ain't Joe Madden. If you were going to break the bank, it's Theo. I'd love to give Theo one more shot, and I would fire everyone I had to. I'll drive down to Target Field right now and fire everyone. But I mean, he would be the guy.
Why would he ever entertain doing that, though? This is the lot of money. This is the dude that brought the Red Sox and the Cubs from 86 and 108-year World Series droughts.
But I'm just saying, if we're having fun talking about like full control, like just a break the bank, I don't give a damn move. And it's, Joe Madden and Theo Epstein with the Twins are not going to happen. But if we're just having fun talking about it, that's my move. Like that would be the guy that I would pursue, and I would just fire, everyone he didn't want to keep, I would fire.
What about Aaron Boone? If he gets
No.
blown out in New York?
So it's Aaron Boone or Rocco Baldelli. Who would you rather have?
I think I'd rather have Aaron Boone.
I would rather have Aaron Boone as a manager. Aaron Boone's a better manager, I think.
I'd have to give that some thought.
Yankees fans would laugh at
If
that.
I'm going to fire
right now.
Rocco Baldelli, which I have no problem with,
The post.
if I'm going to fire Baldelli, I need to give thought to my replacement. I need to give thought.
But you're super down on Baldelli.
Yeah, I know, but I need.
Why would you have to give thought to it? Wouldn't you just fire him and go find someone?
No, that's my point. But I'm saying I don't know that Boone would be my guy. Yes,
Okay.
I would fire him. I would fire him at the end of the season, but then I need more of a exploration of potential candidates.
Okay. Razorbacks 1 says Mackey is still dreaming on Byron Buxton, hoping the baseball fairy can sprinkle magic dust on Byron and make him an above average player. It ain't gonna happen. That is correct. I am hoping that happens. Yes. I don't know how to respond to that other than you are correct. I am holding out hope that Byron Buxton can give us like a 3-week stretch of whatever the best version of him at the plate is.
But this conversation, well, plus this conversation goes so much deeper than that. Like this is about a guy.
Not according to Razorbacks 1 on the YouTube comment section.
This guy is a game changer when healthy. So if he just sucked, like if he had turned into, if he was literally now Sano, like there was just no hope, then Phil's wrong. But what you're saying is, can you get any semblance of the Buxton who we have seen change games?
Yeah, we're not talking about a bust here, like in terms of he just can't hit. We're talking about a guy that just, if he can get physically right for 3 weeks at the right time, he could be a huge difference maker. And yes, I am maybe being pie in the sky optimism.
Who's the baseball fairy?
I have no idea. It's,
Pixie dust.
But is it Buzz Seelig up there somewhere? I have no idea.
The Tinkerbell of baseball? Yeah, I don't know.
Mr. Rocky says, I think just sticking Buxton in center field without having earned that spot will create some animosity on this team. I don't know, man. I think he's earned his stripes as one of the great defensive center fielders of at least my lifetime. If the organization said, hey, we're going to throw him back out there, I mean, Michael A. Taylor might be like, come on, man, I got 20 home runs.
Yeah, it's true.
And I play actually, this is a good segue into the next one. I like Steak65 on YouTube.
Same.
I like your YouTube handle.
Me too.
What's wrong with putting Buxton in right or left field? So you'd have Michael A. Taylor in center field, and then you'd have Buxton in left or right field, and no fly balls would drop ever from that portion.
Right? Because Kepler's not, I mean, Kepler deserves to play defensively. He's really, really good. And in fact, Phil, I think that you were out a couple days ago. Declan and I talked about this, and I said, what about if he doesn't start and Buxton does, Michael A. Taylor as a late game replacement in left? Defensively.
Yeah.
And if his bat came around, well, he can hit a home run if he needs to in the 11th inning, right?
But that intrigues me. That defensive alignment intrigues me.
So part of the problem, obviously, is if you put both Taylor and Buxton in the outfield, then you're going to have to sit either Wallner or Kepler, or then one of those guys DHs, and now you're sitting Julian, and he's coming off. So it's, you're spoiled with all these riches in your lineup.
Or Taylor
right now,
doesn't start and just comes in.
But we're saying put Buxton in a corner spot.
Yes. And what I'm talking about is we discussed Taylor actually playing a corner spot, probably left. It could be Buck. But I think if Buxton can play center field, I would start there. Like if he's cleared and can play, I would rather put Taylor in a corner spot than Buxton. But it intrigued. But a defensive alignment where a ball wouldn't drop, especially in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, intrigues me a lot.
It's super interesting. Yeah, and that's how a lot of those early 2000s Twins teams racked up so many wins, right? They had stretches where there'd be like 3 former or current center fielders playing at the same time. Torrey Hunter here, Shannon Stewart played center field in Toronto. Now he's playing left over here. There was even 2009-10. You'd have Denard Span and Carlos Gomez were playing center field and right field, and that's a sneaky way. It doesn't always show up like a double in the gap would, but if a fly ball that would have been a 2 RBI double for the opposing team is just a can of corn for Byron Buxton or Denard Span floating over to the line, like it's a thing. It'd be interesting to see if they would do something like this. Go Skate Minnesota says this front office called up Kirilloff to make his debut in the playoffs a couple years ago. I'm thinking Brooks Lee could be similar as a late playoff roster addition or September call-up. Where are you guys at on this one right now with Brooks
Dex
Lee?
and I talked about this. We talked about this very thing because Brooks Lee coming up for the playoffs on the surface seems un-Twins-like until you go back to the playoff series against the Astros where they did exactly that with Kirilloff and he actually got a hit. I think Declan and I are on board here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued by it for experience, and I'm also intrigued by it because it doesn't feel like a lot of situations are too much for Brooks Lee, just from the fact that, he's gone up from AA to AAA, and he might scuffle at first, but he seems to, it feels like, figure it out pretty quickly. So count me in as extremely intrigued. And I do think that it's not nearly as anti-Twins like when you look at the Kirilloff situation, which I think is probably a very similar parallel. And they pulled the trigger on that. So they might do this.
Yes.
I think, though, the only way this works, and granted, it's still a 26-man playoff roster. I don't know where Brooks Lee plays and where he makes this roster unless there is an injury to Polanco or Kyle Farmer. They're not going to give up Farmer's spot for Brooks Lee. They really like Kyle Farmer. They trust Kyle Farmer. So unless there's multiple injuries on the infield side between now and the postseason start, and by necessity he has to get up here, I don't see necessarily. Judd was more bullish on it than I was. I don't necessarily see the path where Brooks Lee makes this playoff roster. That's
probably accurate because right now you're trying to find room for where does Julian go? He's a DH over here. You're going to bring another shortstop, another infielder in the mix.
I don't know.
But if something happened, Polanco is always prone to an ankle or something. If all of a sudden you're September 20th and oh man, Polanco might not be able to go in the wild card series. Yeah. And another guy here, just the next comment from Jake B. Austin Martin should be called up for Gallo for the postseason. Good base runner. He's been hitting well for a month plus at AAA, can play multiple positions. He's second base, outfield. I know you guys wrote him off already. I wouldn't say we wrote him off already. We were saying writing him off, we said if he's going to become a big league player, he has to hit for more power. And then immediately he hits like 3 home runs in a week, right? So Austin Martin right now, at AAA, he's getting like a hit every night in the month of August. He's had 4 home runs in the last 2 weeks, which basically equals his like lifetime career total in home runs in baseball. So if all of a sudden like, oh wow, Austin Martin is developing enough power to have that bat play in the major leagues, that's another interesting multi-tool player that you could maybe look at.
I said Brooks Lee for Gallo. That was mine. I don't think Gallo has a place on the playoff roster. I just don't. And I would prefer Austin Martin. I would prefer Brooks Lee. I would prefer Stella to be on the playoff roster. So I don't think Brooks Lee has to be for Farmer. I think that you can find. Are you really going to? And I know he can have some pop once in a while. And he had the 4-for-4 game in Philadelphia a few weeks back. But yes, I would advocate that the Gallo spot should be taken by somebody else. And if it's Martin, Lee, whatever, man, I don't think that Joey Gallo belongs on the playoff roster. And I almost want to remove the temptation to play him at this point. I know he's got a good club, but I just don't want that bat out there.
Yeah. Dude, I think they're going to try and like hammer the point home that they've been making all year, which is, there's a reason why we signed him. Yeah, his bat, I think he's still leading the team in home runs, or is he tied with Michael A. Taylor? He's got like 20 home runs on the season.
Kepler, I think.
Kepler's got 20. Yeah. Would they try to prove a point and say, hey, this is a guy that could just run into something, a 3-run homer, and all of a sudden he wins you a playoff game? I'm with you. 50% strikeout rate since May. Like, I can't have that in a playoff game. I just can't. So, good feedback session here from you guys. Always hit us up via the YouTube comment section. We're constantly monitoring and mixing these in later in the week, and then the feedback tab in the Score North app as well. Speaking of Stella, by the way, the reason why she's even an option for the Twins playoff roster is because of Nutrisource, Judd. There's Maya right there. Just a big old goofy smile. But if Stella's going to be replacing Joey Gallo, she's going to have to keep eating that Nutrisource.
Yep, especially to keep sharp on the bench as she waits to pinch hit. And you know how she does that? With those training rewards treats from our friends at Nutrisource. They're always the key to any dog's happiness, including Vincent. Look at that guy right there.
Yeah, he is. He's like Ryan, or Stella's more like Ryan Jeffers, Judd. He's sitting in the batting cage waiting for that slider to come around, just like Stella's waiting for that Nutrisource treat to come around. Vinny's more of a fastball guy. He sometimes doesn't really even chew all of his food. I'm like, Vinny, take a breath here, pal. Get a drink.
Calm down, guy.
I know you love your Nutrisource. You got to calm down. I know you're a fastball hitter, but yes, he loves his Nutrisource treats.
NutrisourcePetFoods.com if you want to check out a local Nutrisource retailer in your neighborhood. NutrisourcePetFoods.com. A shout out to our friends over at Power Lodge. So the Power Lodge is celebrating 25 years of bringing action and excitement to Minnesota as your go-to destination for all things marine and power sports. Locations in Brainerd, Ramsey, Onamia, and Sauk Rapids. Also Miller Marine in St. Cloud. And it's all about preparing mentally for the playoffs. They're 6 games up on Cleveland. How can you mentally prepare yourself for another Twins playoff series, Judd?
Throttle Therapy, my friend, which you can find on a Bennington at any time. I mean, look at that. Look at you know what? Minnesota sports is nothing but stressful, right? It's nothing but stressors. It's Vikings games. It's Twins playoff games. It's Wild playoff games. So what's the way to throttle down? Take a deep breath and enjoy a gorgeous day outdoor on the water in this beautiful state in summer. That is Throttle Therapy from our friends. And that Bennington looks absolutely fantastic.
Yes. And one more shout out here before we get to Immaculate Grid drama and an actual Immaculate Grid. Our favorite van is the Finch Home Solutions van. Here to help you with things around your house.
And you know what? Words come to mind here. Fast, courteous, impressive. Cody and his team at Finch Home Solutions are all of those things. In fact, their phrase is this: we respect your time, so you don't have to wait on us. Can you imagine this? You contact Finch and it's fast. They're out there at your house fixing whatever needs to be fixed from an electrical standpoint. I'm talking stuff as small as an outlet that has to be changed. We're talking about rewiring your house. No project is too big or too small for Finch. They love 2 things. 1, Vikings football, and 2, making sure that your home is safe and sound. Call them now, 612-357-2604, or go to finchhomesolutions.com. Finchhomesolutions.com. There's a form on their site that you can fill out what the issue is. They'll be in contact. They'll be out there. And again, they don't want you to have to wait. So no matter what the problem is, contact Finch. Finchhomesolutions.com. Get you started on the path to getting problems electronically, at least taken care of in your home.
All right, it's time for the Immaculate Grid Challenge here. But before we get there, we have some drama that we'd like to bring to the audience here. Something that happened in our 3-person text thread yesterday. So you guys know we love the Immaculate Grid. It's probably our favorite thing. We love talking about the Twins, but I get really excited for the end of these Twin shows because we get to take on the Immaculate Grid Challenge. You guys, I feel the same way. It's a highlight of your day, right?
Well, clearly, we're about to get to that.
It's a highlight of Declan's day every day, regardless of Score Twin Show. So on the weekends, we don't unless there's like an emergency episode on like a Saturday or Sunday. It's kind of free reign. We just do the Immaculate Grid on our own. I thought there was an understanding here that so we do a Twin show at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4, sometimes 5. That sometimes we will just do, and we've done like 3 standalone Immaculate Grid shows before. Some that don't even include the Twins on the grid. But it's been my assumption, because we love the Immaculate Grid so much, and because we will sometimes just do an Immaculate Grid version of the Twin show, that if the Twins show up on the grid before any of us individually and selfishly do the grid on our own, that we bring it to the attention of the other two people on the Score North Twin show and say, hey, before I do this on my own, did you guys see that the Score North Twin, or that the Twins are part of the Immaculate Grid? All right. I assumed that. Yesterday, Declan texts at 11:20 a.m. Central Time. Damn, Twins are on the grid today. All right. This is like after we recorded our morning podcast, Purple Daily, everything, right? Judd's out at camp. So the recording window has closed, scheduled.
And you're flying back.
I'm on a plane later that day. Judd is at practice. So Declan says, damn, Twins are on the grid today. And I said, damn, we should record something later. Maybe I can join from my phone, like from the airport or something. And Judd says, yes. And Declan goes, well, I already started the grid. And then Judd and I gave him middle finger emojis and whatever. Mm-hmm. And Declan goes, you guys have poor communication on this. I don't know that it needs to be communicated. We love the grid. If the Twins are on the grid, we should broach it with the group so we can do it on the show before we go solo and rogue and do it on our own. That's what I figured. Hey, that should not need to be verbalized, but apparently I was wrong.
Okay, so you laid out some of this very elegantly and brilliantly. You were in a different state. Judd was at training camp practice.
I mean, I lived in a different state for 2 years, and we recorded podcasts and content every day. So I'm not sure if that argument's going to fly in the.
And I believe the guy in the middle said, "I have a hard out at 10:35 because I have to travel, I have to pack, I don't know if you had more conventions yesterday at Podcast Movement. You had a hard out. Judd had 3 hours at training camp, plus a bonus episode, plus you getting on a plane. To me, it had seemed that window to do a grid had passed because you guys were tied up. I was tied up. And it shouldn't, by the way, I didn't even look at the grid until I sent that text. Sometimes I literally wake up and I have one eye open, still groggy, and I type in Immaculate Grid to see, hey, who's on the grid today? I like to kind of know who's on the grid.
I do that too sometimes. I didn't do it yesterday.
And also to know if the Twins are on the grid. So yesterday, I did not do that. I didn't look at the grid until after our window had passed. And given all of the commitments everyone else had made, it was my assumption that window to do a Twins grid had passed. And I don't think I should be chastised for that because other people have the ability to also go on the Immaculate Grid before the window starts to check if the Twins are on there. So I don't think this is all guns pointing at Deck's tweet saying you shot both of us and yourself in the foot.
If I may.
Okay, Judd.
If I may, Dex, I know, though, that it excites you and that you are ordinarily, I'm sure it's Phil occasionally, but you are ordinarily the first one to look at the grid of the three of us.
Typically.
Because I certainly am not. I thought from a show perspective, I thought that you were flagging the Twins and saying, hold on a second here. We need to reconvene. We need to get together and do this. It's the Twins. Our viewers and listeners love this. I thought that you were being a great producer. So when you said, oh, I started it, I'm like, oh, my goodness gracious. How could you have started it? And you know what? Let's call a spade a spade. Are the three of us ever really busy? Are the three of us like, the job at the plant's got me down, man. I can't do any more work. Are we really Fred Flintstone? Whoo, yabba dabba doo, sliding down the thing? Not really. So, I mean, I thought you were flagging it. That's my disappointment.
I did too.
You did a great job.
When you said, damn, the Twins are on the grid today, I thought it was kind of like are you guys sure you don't have 5 minutes to do this with the audience?
Immaculate Gridders, unite.
Yeah. In fact, you said, damn, the Twins are on the grid today. And I guess it was 19 minutes later that you said, well, I already started it. So there was a
15-minute window from when you sent it, and an hour almost after Judd said it.
I'm gonna make my stance clear on this. Okay. It was a selfish move by Declan to start that grid with the Twins on it and not see if the audience could potentially benefit from a 5-minute episode, 6-minute episode of the Score North Twin Show. It was selfish. I think you owe the audience an apology for depriving them of a Twins-related Immaculate Grid yesterday. I really do.
Okay, well, I will apologize to absolutely no one, in the words of Conor McGregor, because this was not on me. You were in an airport. You were at training camp for 4 to 5 hours, Judd. The window had passed.
Did you think about our audience at all when you searched the first player name on that grid solo without us or the listeners of the Score North Twin Show yesterday?
Myself. No, I wasn't thinking of anyone else. I was thinking of myself.
Then there it is. There it is, folks.
Very Royce-like of you right there.
It's really too bad because the audience was deprived of one of the great low scores in a box in the history of the Immaculate Grid when old Macadac landed Dusty Hughes, left-handed reliever specialist for Royals and Twins at a .06. A .06 yesterday, and I had to do it alone
on the
because
hockey grid?
Declan already started it.
I got a .01.
What?
Is that a North Star?
Dallas Stars, New York Rangers, which of course transfers. I can use old North Stars. Kurt Giles, .0. The head coach of the Edina Hornets hockey team. I've never gotten this before. .01.
Wow, dude, amazing. Now
but
I have a question for you.
Share that with everybody.
Well, why did you do that grid solo without checking with Declan, Jesse Pierce, the Judd's Hockey Show crew?
Nah,
you're going to sit here and you're going to chastise Declan for being selfish, and you just incriminated yourself for being selfish.
No, but we do the grid on JHS occasionally, but I feel like the baseball grid is the grid. But I said my piece. I feel
like you guys should think about the audience a little bit more when you're about to type a name into the grid. Okay.
If we want to do more, if the Hockey Whisperer wants to participate, we can.
Oh, now it's on me. It's called Judd's Hockey Show.
We can the Hockey Grid if you want. But I thought Declan made a great catch. That's why I was disappointed because he's like, "Oh, the Twins are on." I'm like, "Oh yeah," because I do not look at it first.
I think if you or I would have the first response after he said it was 16 minutes later, so we gave him 16 minutes. I'm not taking any blame for this. This is selfish Declan not thinking about the audience. But if one of us had responded within 2 minutes, he probably would have not. He would have stopped after a square or something, and then we could have sort of taken it back.
Very down on decks right now.
No, I'm just saying. I feel like the audience deserves better from the Score North Twin Show. Okay,
Age might be getting a call. AJ Fredrickson, we got to bring the left-hander.
Good luck getting AJ out of the fair. Good luck.
Yeah.
He is our
9. We were told explicitly, do not use AJ on anything other than the fair for the next 2 weeks, unless it's St. Thomas football or Minnesota.
You know what? I will say this for us three. It's a good thing that in this business, we are really low maintenance. There's a lot of people that would not take that well.
Which one? The Immaculate Grid thing, or
are
you telling our producer that he might be replaced by a different producer?
No, I'm saying if you were told there are certain people who would not take it well if they were told so and so don't even look at that guy. There are certain hosts in this town who would become pretty damn irate about that. I'm just saying we're low maintenance. We are pretty low maintenance.
Yeah. Well, all right. Are we? Okay, so going forward, if we ever see the Twins on the grid, let's bring it to the attention of the group first before any of us proceeds individually.
I do trust
Declan
will be the first too, because he is the best at as soon as he wakes up getting to the grid.
And I should say, unless it's a Saturday or a Sunday where we aren't, the only time we're going to record a Twin Show is if it's like a playoff reaction.
Can we contemplate that though? Then, can we contemplate just a quick? I mean, I think if it's a Saturday, I wouldn't mind.
Okay, let's just say a blanket
jumping
rule.
Out of bed.
Blanket rule. If we see the Twins on the grid before anyone embarks solo, bring it to the attention. And then if nobody responds within 30 minutes,
it's over.
Go on your own.
It's over.
Declan, I need a verbal one or the other.
Yeah, go for it. If it's a Saturday or Sunday, I'm just telling you, I'm not jumping on for that. I'm gonna pull up. No, I'm not jumping on.
You won't jump on for that?
No.
Like the Twins been on the grid?
0% chance I'm jumping on for that. Love you guys, but no.
I'm okay with that. Declan deserves some time off.
No.
He busts his ass.
Well, call me then. I'll do it.
Okay. And Judd, you bust your ass too. Okay. I'm not trying
I didn't take that as an insult at all.
I need egos to flare up here. Okay. All right, we good?
There's no
We good?
egos.
Are we good to move past the drama and into the actual
I'm
Immaculate
fine with
Grid
it.
here?
I express my disappointment, but I feel like you are the one who's a little bit more like. I feel like you and Dex are far more like this about this than I am.
No, I mean I've made my position clear. I think if the Twins are on the grid, we should check with each other for the
still
sake
think
of the
it's really
show and the
wrong.
audience.
Dex still thinks that you're off base here. I can tell.
Declan, say whatever you need to say, and then we'll
No,
get into the grid.
I have said everything that had to be said. I know I'm in the right. I'm going to be my stubborn father here,
Well,
and
yeah.
I'm not going to apologize.
Let me
or
ask
see
you
this
this.
in a
Let me
different
ask you
way.
this. When is the last time that you have admitted straight up I was wrong about something on the
All
show
time.
or in your
Oh,
life?
In my
Each
life.
Besides,
all the
write
time.
that down Wednesdays.
Twice on Wednesdays.
Go spend 24 hours with me next to my fiance, and you will hear a lot. Oh crap! I screwed
Oh
that.
God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make
Yes.
sure. Just want to
Yes.
make sure.
Yes.
All right. 6 minutes on the clock. We're looking to go 9 for 9 here on the Immaculate Grid. Brewer, who was a Brave, which is interesting because both those franchises were in Milwaukee.
That's
So
an easy one.
Didn't think of that.
a Brewer who was a Ranger, and a Brewer who's a Hall of Famer. A National or an Expo who was a Brave. A National who was a Ranger, and a National who was in the Hall of Fame or an Expo. And then a Cub who was a Brave, a Cub who was a Ranger, and a Cub who is in the Hall of Fame. We'll
Love
go
it.
6 minutes on the clock here. We're going to work together, and we're going to conquer this today.
We're gonna overcome our differences. The Brewer who was a Brave, if you want it, Hank Aaron.
Okay, I'm worried. I'm worried that
What?
something like
Was he both a Brewer? He was a Brewer?
Finished up his career as a Brewer.
oh
755 home runs. He finished that up. I think his last 2 years were spent back in
Okay.
Milwaukee.
Is that going to be like a
After being Milwaukee
50% one that's going to kill our
I don't
rarity score? I guess we should just probably do it and pray.
29.
29%. Okay, a Cub who was a Brave, Jeff Blauser.
know. Mhm.
Jeff Blauser. Let's see what that one is. 2%. Let's go.
A Ranger who was a Cub, Jim Sundberg, the catcher, Sundberg. Jim.
Who?
Sorry, Jim Sundberg.
John?
Really good catcher. Jim. Really good catcher. Right there.
Went for it.
0.4, dude. Wow.
Nice.
Okay. We
He's
need
a great catcher for the
a
Rangers.
Ranger who was a Nat or an Expo, and a Brave who was a Nat or an Expo.
Greinke didn't go to Texas. Did Greinke go to Texas?
He went to
He
Houston.
Houston and LA. He was with the Angels and the Dodgers.
Okay, let's think of Expos. Former Expos who played for Otis Nixon was an Expo? Definitely.
Wow, I don't know about that. No, Marquise Grissom was an Expo. Marquise Grissom, right? Wasn't he an Expo and he was a Brave? Or am I?
That sounds
Whoa, am I wrong on that?
No, I think you're right. No, I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah, because the Expos
89 to
couldn't afford
05.
him. Yep, that's him. No, I think you're right.
11.
11%.
Nice.
It's kind of
That's
high,
good.
actually.
Oh,
We got the Hall of Fame
we're
column
trying
here
to
too.
get these. Paul Molitor or Robin Yount as a Brewer.
Let's go Molitor, I think. 22. Tim Raines for
Yep, that would work.
I don't
For-
know any.
I mean, Vladimir Guerrero, Tim Raines, those guys
Yeah,
are all were Andre Dawson.
Sounds
Right.
good.
That's
A
good.
Hall of Fame Cub, Ernie Banks is that's probably the biggest one. What about Fergie Jenkins? Was he a Hall of Famer? Ferguson Jenkins?
I don't know about that.
Maddox went to the Cubs, right? Didn't he finish with the Cubs?
He started with Cubs.
He started with the
Started
Cubs
with the
and
Cubs.
and finished with the Cubs.
So
we-
who's Banks or Maddox?
Maddox is probably a lower score than Banks, I would
Okay.
guess. It's probably like 15%,
Okay.
10%.
Nice.
And then we
Interleague
need,
stuff
wow,
here.
we're kind of flying here. We got 3 minutes left, and we just need a
Okay.
Ranger who was a Brewer, and
Yeah,
then
that
a
could also-
Ranger who was an Expo or a Nat.
A Ranger was
Pudge? Was Pudge was a National, wasn't he? Was he a National
Was
at
he?
the end?
I think he
Did he float
potentially
through there?
finished with.
Did Matthew
Did he
LeCroy
finish?
play for the Rangers?
I don't think he did.
Hank Blaylock play for the
So Texas, wait.
Nats?
So you got Texas
Uh,
and
Alfonso Soriano.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes. Wow. This is a breeze. See what happens when you air out
There we
what you
go.
need to air out, and then you come
There we go.
together as a team.
Here we go.
Wow.
All right, and now
Ranger.
A Brewer who was a Ranger.
Oh,
gotta be.
Jonathan Lucroy.
Jonathan Lucroy, yes.
Catcher.
I think that's it.
I mean, how much time do we have? We want to think on this.
We have two
Lucroy's
minutes
gonna
and
be
20
low.
seconds.
I don't think we can beat that. That's going to be a low score, right?
Yeah, Johnny Lucroy.
Yeah, you're not going to have a problem.
Wow,
with
dude. Oh, under 100 for
Nice
for the rarity score.
Nice
That's pretty dang
work.
good, guys.
that. That's really good.
You know, can I just out of curiosity,
French fielder.
why do I think FP Santangelo played for the Expos and the Rangers? I just want to see if an obscure name would have.
That's very
FP
possible.
Santangelo. Let's see here.
Go down to the most popular deck.
Oh no, it's Expos and he played for a few other teams, but not the Rangers.
I'm curious what that. Okay, Hank Aaron, Prince Fielder, Robin Yount, Brad Hand,
Brad Hand. Wow, most popular.
Max Scherzer. Yeah, that's
I'm only at 12,
Oh, yeah.
so that means what was the guess rate on that? 64%. Interesting.
And what's the Cub? Go back up a little bit. So it's Maddox. Sosa. That's
Yeah.
Look at that Robin Yount picture, man. He's got like a Larry Bird look going on.
He's a great salad. That's before Bird too. He started it.
Yeah. So, well, there you go. There's your Immaculate Grid. Look at that. Just a easy
Should've been
breezy
fun.
9
It
for
could've been
9.
fun to do that with the Twins on Thursday too. You know, now that I think about it, that would have been a lot of fun.
Here were my twins from yesterday. Dusty Hughes as the Twin Royal, Brian Buchanan as the Twin Padre. That was 0.3%. And then a twin who stole 30 bases in a season, Otis Nixon at 2%.
So I got royally screwed, and I thought I might. Philly Padre, I tried Dave Hollins, who unfortunately was in the Padres organization and was picked in the
shocking.
Rule 5 draft by Philadelphia the same day that the Padres lost Shane Mack to the Twins in the same draft.
Yeah.
But
How many times do we need to remind you, Judd, that you have to play a game
I know,
with
I
that
was
team?
hoping he had come up at some point in time, and then he bounced around.
Yeah.
Because he bounced around at the end. I was wrong, and that hurt, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I used Danny Valencia for Royal Twin, and then I used Jason Marquis for Padre Twin.
That's a good one. What about the 30 steals?
I used Ben Revere.
I used him for the Philly 30 steals.
Yeah, and I thought about doing that too, and I thought I wasn't certain on Guzman, and I looked up afterwards, and he didn't, so I would have burned that guess. He had like 25 a few times, but never 30.
I used my Philly with 30 plus steals was Gary Maddox, who was an outfielder in the 70s.
I used Rollins.
Unfortunately, I screwed up again. I thought it was 30 plus steals with your team, like on that team. So I used Knobloch, which I didn't realize it was just 30 plus deals in your career. It didn't. So like you didn't have to be a twin when you did it.
Oh, really? I don't know about
Right?
that. No, I'm
So
pretty sure it's
what did
30 steals with that team.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I didn't screw up.
Mhm.
Because I used Chuck, who stole like 40 something in 94.
90, yeah.
Okay.
five.
Yeah. Yep.
Chuck stole a ton of bases back before he got a little
Chuck.
bit heftier.
Yippee.
I wonder what he's up to today. I wonder if he's just on the Immaculate Grid every day, dominating with late 80s, early 90s players.
He got booted, man. He was supposed to be inducted into the Twins Hall of Fame. Was that like 2019 or 2018?
And then he
And
did something weird.
Yeah, I think he got into a domestic dispute, and they basically just said no.
That was a fun press release to drop.
Just
yeah?
sliding out that booth like the Family Guy scene. Well, I'm glad that we avoided a domestic dispute here on the Score North Twin Show. We worked out our problems like adults.
Yeah.
We just want the Twins to win a playoff game for the first time in 18 tries. See ya.